Hello, and welcome to our RedTeam Flex and Fieldlens integration updates webinar. Today, we're going to explore a few things. We're going to cover unified login and how to link your accounts. We're also going to cover automated project and drawing syncs, covering what syncs and when. We're going to look at Flex versus Fieldlens and how for your field teams. We're also going to cover Flex versus Fieldlens for your owners and architects. And then finally, we're going to cover with the question and answer section. My name is Alan Penny. I'm an implementation manager based out of Los Angeles. And we also have Sarah Nigel, who is our senior enablement manager. We're both very excited to talk about the updates that we're having here at RedTeam. We understand that construction is one of the world's most challenging industries. We get it, because we've been there. RedTeam understands what success looks like every step of the way, and that's what we're focused on the entire project. From the office field to your field, your job will never be easy, so having maximum control over your schedules, your safety, quality, and your costs makes your day-to-day run better and more smoothly than ever before. That's going to be total project control, and that's RedTeam for you. So today we're going to be covering RedTeam Flex. RedTeam Flex is our highly configurable construction management software. This is designed to help general contractors manage their construction projects from start to finish. This product is built for commercial construction companies with complex business organizations and sophisticated workflows that demand advanced integration and configurability. RedTeam Flex is our flagship software, so please just make sure that if you are on this webinar, today we're specifically talking about RedTeam Flex. Fieldlens is going to be one of our separate applications. It's an intuitive construction job site management software for efficient real-time collaboration among field, office, and trade workers that reduces rework and miscommunication. This product is built for construction companies of all sizes that are looking to keep your tools that keep everyone from project owners to architects and subcontractors on the same page. Now, eventually, we will have this merge into one application, so you only have to access one to have both of the services, but for the time being, this is going to be a separate application. So yeah, again, today, this is unified login. This is going to be our new update. What it's going to do is going to allow you to link your Flex and your Fieldlens accounts for a seamless login experience. You'll be able to use the same username and the same password to log into both applications. Now, whenever you are creating a new employee into your database, you're going to create your Flex account using the invite. You're going to want to click on Create Fieldlens Account from the Linked Accounts page, and that's how you'll create your Fieldlens login. For your existing employees, all you have to do is migrate to a unified login. You will click on Add Linked Account from the Linked Accounts page. You're going to sign into your existing Fieldlens account to link it. And now we're going to have Sarah demonstrate how we would do that.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a quick example. This is for a new employee, but you'll see both buttons here. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with my unified login. And if you are, remember, an existing employee, you're going to see that prompt here the past month to ask you to go ahead and switch over to your unified login. All of our accounts have to be linked by August 9th. So you've got that little notification there. But here's if I'm a new employee, I'm going to create this Fieldlens account right from here. Otherwise, if I'm an existing employee, I'm going to say add linked account, and that's going to allow me to use my current credentials with my Fieldlens account to go ahead and sign in. So either option works. This is your new employee. I've never had a Fieldlens option. And this is, hey, I've already got a Fieldlens and I'd like to go ahead and link it. From that point forward, when you log in, you'll come to this page and you'll see both options, which I'll be doing a couple more demos here throughout the webinar, and you'll see another example of an account that has a few linked options here in a moment. But we're going to come back over here and let Alan talk about our next update, automated project syncing.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, so automated project syncing, it's going to send instantly all your new projects and drawings to Fieldlens. For project syncing, once that's turned on, all new projects will sync to Fieldlens with manually selected team members upon saving a new project. For your drawing syncing, when that is enabled, all your committed drawings will sync to the Fieldlens app upon scope authorization. So this is going to mean that any original plans will sync upon promotion from proposal to in progress status, while your updated plans will sync across as each one of your new change orders is authorized. And Sarah is going to show us how we can make these changes and update the settings for automated project syncing.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do here is actually log into a different unified login so that I can show you an account that is linked as well as those preferences. So this is an existing employee. You can see here, I've got my Flex accounts linked, and then I've actually got my Fieldlens down here. So because we're going to be looking at Fieldlens in a bit, I'm going to open that in a separate browser tab. And then I'm also going to open my Flex account right here. So you see how nice and seamless that works for unified login. I can now have both my Flex and Fieldlens up in a browser tab if I'm a PM. You, of course, if you're a superintendent or a field manager, you've got two separate apps, a mobile app for each. So, but let's come down here and look at our apps menu on the left-hand side. And we will come to Fieldlens by RedTeam right here. And we've got our preferences right there. So these are new preferences. If you were an early user of the Flex Fieldlens integration, you may remember that you had to click a button when you were ready to send your project across. You had to click a button when you were ready to send your drawings across. Now, that led to some difficulty for some of our clients because it was very easy to forget to send updated drawings across. So what we did is we tried to eliminate some of those button clicks. We highly recommend that if you're using the Fieldlens integration, you turn these on, both of them, because what's going to happen is as I save a new project, it's going to go ahead and automatically push into Fieldlens, and it's going to give me a little pop-up asking which team members I want to send across. And then for drawings, it's a separate preference. When I turn that on, that says, hey, every time I authorize a new set of drawings, please go ahead and push them across into Fieldlens. That makes sure that in both locations, both softwares, you have the most up-to-date plans. No one is looking at an out-of-date copy on one side or the other. So we definitely recommend those. Again, that's under the apps menu in your Fieldlens by RedTeam app card. That will take effect for all new projects after you check the boxes. So if you have projects that you want to use in Fieldlens before you turn those preferences on, you'll go back to that normal button click. As you go to the scope details of a project, you'll see a send to Fieldlens button for the whole project. As you go to the drawings, the plans and specs page, you'll see the ability to check box drawings and hit the send to Fieldlens button. But we are going to kind of progress from here to talk about what syncs and when. And I apologize, my chart looked really good here a moment ago, and I seem to have somehow added a column. So hopefully that's not too distracting. But this is an illustration, or it's supposed to be an illustration of what pieces of data originate in each software, what flows in each direction, and when. So you can see here on the Flex side, we've got a list of things that start in Flex and flow only one direction across into Fieldlens. Those are the things we just talked about. The projects themselves, we want those to start in Flex and sync across to Fieldlens because Flex is that full-scale project management software. That is where all your financials are taking place. That's where all your scheduling is taking place, all your submittals, documentation like commitment forms, things that Fieldlens can't handle. So we want everything to start in Flex. And then you saw if that preference is turned on, it's going to automatically sync to Fieldlens. If it's not, you've got your button click option if that's what you prefer. Same with drawings. Those will sync across as we authorize each scope. As the original scope of work is authorized, as each change order scope is authorized, those drawings will sync across, automatically supersede older copies. Otherwise, if you have that preference we just looked at turned off, you have a button click option on the plans and specs page in any Flex project. The next one we want to talk about is team members. When you create the project, you get a little pop-up, right? If you've got that preference turned on to automatically send the project, when I hit save to save my new project, I get a pop-up for team members asking which team members I want to send across to Fieldlens. Now, this is really intentional for most people because every project in Fieldlens is what we call private. That means anyone who's not on a team members list doesn't have access to see and interact with that project. If we send it over from Flex, it is a private project in Fieldlens. And so when I start my project, I may choose a pretty select list of people to be interacting in Fieldlens during the pre-construction stage. And I may choose then to send people later as I select my subcontractors. I may go ahead and send them across later after my bid solicitation process. That's done by button click. And you do that by going to the team members page of your Flex project and selecting those team members. As you hit the check boxes on the team members you want to send across, you're going to see that send to Fieldlens button you should be familiar with up in the top right-hand corner of the page. So those are all the kind of basic project setup pieces. Whoops, I'm sorry. Shouldn't be scrolling there. As we look at other items that move across, the big three right now is RFIs, safety, and punch, or deficiency here. You can see RFIs are the ones that, quite honestly, are the most seamless part of the integration right now. They flow in both directions. The beautiful part about this is that each of your team members can decide where they prefer to create RFIs. You could have a project manager who makes some RFIs and they spend most of their time in Flex handling budgets and commitment forms and submittals, and they create their RFIs in Flex. You'd also have maybe a superintendent or other field personnel who are creating RFIs in Fieldlens because that's where they spend most of their time. Either place, it's going to instantaneously sync. As we save a draft copy of an RFI in the dialog tab of your project in Flex, it's going to sync immediately to Fieldlens. As we create a new RFI type post in Fieldlens, it's going to automatically sync over into the dialog tab of your project in Flex. They maintain sequential numbering. Everything's going to stay in order. And as you answer and close them in either software, that will be reflected in the other software. So that one's really, really nice. That's where we intend to get to eventually with everything. The other two items, though, right, safety and punch, you can see those flow only from Fieldlens over to Flex. And the reason we prioritize that direction of flow is because we really see safety and punch as better dealt with in Fieldlens. For those who have the integration, you're going to see that safety and punch items are so much more collaborative in Fieldlens. Fieldlens is designed for your subs, your owners, your architects to log in and interact with those safety and punch items. They can mark themselves complete. They can ask questions, add files or photos. They can really interact with that task in a way that they can't in Flex. If you have used the request for correction feature in Flex, you know that you can create a punch or safety task and you can assign it, but your subs cannot mark themselves complete. It's really all on the superintendent and the PM to update those items and mark them closed when they're complete, along with having to manually push emails out to the subs to notify them of what they're responsible for. Fieldlens takes all that burden off of you. As you're creating posts and assigning them to people, your subs are getting automated notifications telling them that they have new safety and punch tasks. So we really, you'll see here in a moment, we really highly recommend you be building your punch and safety lists in Fieldlens. And those are going to flow automatically over to the request for correction page in your Flex project so that your PM can have visibility on those, so that leadership can have visibility on those. But we don't intend you to really be doing a lot of managing or editing of those tasks in Flex. So hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have questions on any of that, please feel free to drop it in the chat. Alan and I will make sure we address that at the Q&A at the end. I'm not going to do a full demo on all these pieces today, simply because we want to make sure we're focusing on updates. But this is the basic flow for now. I do want to note before we move on, things you don't see on here. You may know that Fieldlens has a submittals feature. That does not currently sync at all with our Flex submittals feature. So we're going to talk in a minute about what we recommend there. Schedule is not on here because Fieldlens does not have a scheduling capability. Again, we'll talk about how we recommend you handle that in a moment. And then any of the employee checklists or daily logs that you may be utilizing in Flex do not sync across into Fieldlens. And in fact, Fieldlens does not have a templated daily progress report of any kind. So certainly can handle it in Fieldlens if you want, but we recommend it in Flex. So let's go look at those recommendations. This is for our field teams. So probably the number one question that I get as I train new clients and new companies on how to use their Flex and Fieldlens integration is, why are there two apps and which one do my superintendents need? Right? The answer is right now, we recommend that superintendents and other field personnel download both apps because they serve different purposes. And you're going to see some really good reasons to open each app. So we've tried to make it really simple here. If I'm a super, when do I open the Flex app? When do I open the Fieldlens app? RedTeam Flex app is for employees only. Think about it that way, right? The Flex app is your employees only information. The Fieldlens app is where you're collaborating with subcontractors, possibly architects and owners, and all those external parties who need to engage with certain parts of the project. So you would open the Flex app to fill out your daily progress logs, to look at your Gantt schedule if your PM is keeping the Gantt schedule in Flex. Submittals. We highly recommend that you're handling submittals through RedTeam Flex because there is a very standardized workflow. Even though Fieldlens has a submittals type post, it really doesn't have the built-in kind of standardized workflow that Flex does. So we certainly recommend handling submittals there. Specifications. Fieldlens is not built to handle spec documents. It handles drawings really, really well, but it doesn't have a specifications feature. So we recommend uploading those into Flex. They're going to be displayed in your Flex plan room. You could theoretically create a no flag post in Fieldlens to upload your spec documents, but unless you need that type of visibility for the people who are in Fieldlens, we generally see Flex being the right place to go for that. Red line markups. This is important if we're making any red line markups to our drawings. We want to do that in Flex. In fact, the red line markups button in Fieldlens is disabled when you're integrated, because if I'm making a permanent change or markup to that drawing, I'm effectively creating a new version of that drawing. And to handle version control the way that we want, all of our markups, our redline markups, have to start in Flex. And as you save a new redline markup, you are effectively authorizing that new copy. It's going to flow across automatically into Fieldlens. And then checklists. Employee checklists is what I mean by this, right? Any checklist that your employees would need to be filling out on a regular basis, whether that's site safety checklists, quality checklists, any kind of delivery or inspection checklists that you may utilize on a regular basis, you can build custom checklists in RedTeam Flex, and those are going to be available for your employees to fill out from the Flex mobile app. On the other hand, Fieldlens. When you think Fieldlens, I often try to keep it simple. RFIs, punch, and safety. And drawings, right? Your drawings are an integral part of that because Fieldlens has pin to drawing capability, which is not something that RedTeam Flex has. The ability to pin those RFI punch and safety posts to your drawings in Fieldlens is invaluable because it's a great communication tool. Anyone who's logging in, be it employees or subs or architects, can look at the drawings and see little bubbles for RFIs, punch items, and safety items, and they can tap on that little pin to open up the full post, see all the information about that RFI, see who is responsible for answering, what's their due date. All that information is pinned right to the exact spot on the drawing that is pertinent to that question or that task. So RFIs, punch and safety, drawing management, as well as kind of drawing communication. If you want to do a markup and attach, which means I want to make some communication-based markups to a drawing and attach it to an RFI or attach it to a question or a task, that's really helpful to be able to do that in Fieldlens. Miscellaneous tasking. You do have that no flag post type in Fieldlens that you can use for miscellaneous tasking. You may know about the action items feature over in RedTeam Flex. The downside to action items is that once I send the original email tasking someone with that item, they never get another reminder, and it can be difficult for them to go back and mark it complete. In fact, if they're outside your company, they can't mark their action items complete. You'd have to do it for them. The major benefit to Fieldlens is that even if it's not an RFI punch or safety item, I can assign anyone a task with a no flag post, give them a due date, give them details, attachments, what have you, and they get an automated notification. They can set up push notifications to their mobile device. They can set up email notifications for every time they get a new assignment on your project in Fieldlens. And now their phone is pinging them saying, hey, the superintendent or the PM on this site needs you to take care of this. They can log into Fieldlens, see all of their tasks in one place, mark items complete, ask you questions, etc. And then job site reporting. This is, I guess I probably should have phrased this better, right? It's not the same as daily progress logs, but the reporting of RFI punch and safety items is going to be really robust in Fieldlens. You can actually create and schedule custom reports in Fieldlens so that it's dropping, let's say your inbox, your email inbox gets a copy of overdue RFIs every Monday at 10 a.m. You get a review of all open punch and safety items Thursday at 2 p.m., right? Whatever it is that you want, you can set up really nice filtered reports and then schedule them to run automatically to a certain group of people. So when it comes to reporting in terms of what's outstanding on the job site, Fieldlens is going to be the place for that. And you can actually generate those reports right from the mobile app. But that is our recommendations for field teams. I'm also going to give some recommendations for external parties like owners and architects. And then we're going to jump into Flex and Fieldlens and show you a little bit of what we're talking about. So when it comes to owners and architects, this can be another confusing decision point for a lot of our clients is, do I direct my owners to the Flex plan room or do I direct my owners to the Fieldlens portal? And the answer could be one or the other. The answer could be some of both, depending on your needs. But I wanted to kind of give an overview of what's included in both and the pros and cons of each one. So the RedTeam Flex plan room is giving you a primarily view-only access to certain project details. It can include your plans and specs. It can include RFIs in various statuses. You can include open or closed RFIs or both. Can include submittals items. You can choose to show approved, rejected, and or we call them submitted submittals, but think of those as pending an answer from the architect. You can show punch and safety items, and you can show the current schedule. So those are all items that can be displayed automatically, right? I set up my plan room, and those things will show up in the plan room as visible for the owner automatically. The owner doesn't need a username and password. They simply need to bookmark the link to log into the plan room, with the project number and their basic info. On the other hand, Fieldlens is much more interactive. And that's really the key when you're thinking about why Fieldlens is the collaboration, the ability to say, hey, if my owner or my architect creates a free account, they can have it bookmarked on their desktop or their laptop. They can have the mobile app on their phone or tablet. And when they log in, they can see everything in one place and they can interact with it. They can see their all RFIs, punch and safety items. They can see all the drawings. What they're not seeing, right, is a few of those things that actually can be shown in the plan room. So submittals, schedules, or specs, those are things I could automatically display in the plan room, but they don't sync with Fieldlens currently. So then you have that decision of, does my owner need that? Do my architects need to be logging into Fieldlens, or are they okay to handle just the plan room, right? What level of access do we need? If we believe that my external parties, my ownership needs submittal schedules and spec documents, but I really want them to be able to interact with RFIs, punch, and safety items. What I can choose to do is manually place some information from Flex into Fieldlens. And I've seen that done as well, where folks will say, hey, I'm going to take every approved submittal and pop it in as a submittals post in Fieldlens. That is a manual step, but it's an option if you're looking to consolidate and make sure that your owner only needs to go to one place. They don't have to decide between, do I log into the plan room or do I log into Fieldlens? Same with schedule. You can choose to pop a CSV or PDF copy of the schedule into Fieldlens as a no flag post if you need to. Spec documents could be attached to a no flag post. It's not quite as neat and clean a display as the plan room, but again, it's helpful when it comes to consolidating the number of places your owners or architects need to go. So each client handles that a little differently. We're going to go look at some of those options, and then we'll finish up with Q&A. Alan, do we currently have anything in the Q&A that I should answer, though, before we continue?
No, not at the moment.
Perfect. Okay, we are going to pop in here, and we're going to look at a project. So this is a project I have that's already connected to Fieldlens. And what I want to do is show you your plan room options. So for those who have not handled those, if we come to the project setup button here for any project, and we go to step 2, project preferences. You can change these settings at any point during the project. And that's going to determine what shows up in the plan room. I like to search because there's so much here that I can just scroll through forever and not find what I'm looking for. So I like to type it in. And here you can see just what we talked about. I can show my plans and specs, submittals in 3 different statuses, because if I'm handling those in Flex, I can automatically show those and their associated files in the plan room. RFIs, both open and closed. Remember, even if I'm creating my RFIs in Fieldlens, they are going to sync across to Flex. So any RFIs that you're creating in Fieldlens, you can still display those in the Flex plan room if you decide that's the best option for your owners. The schedule, if you're keeping a Gantt schedule in here, and then requests for correction. This says checklists. Excuse me. More realistically, it's including requests for correction. Those are your punch and safety items in a committed status. And again, if you're handling those in Fieldlens, the way we recommend, any punch and safety items that you're creating in Fieldlens are flowing automatically across to Flex, and they would be displayed in the plan room as requests for correction. So you've got all these options here. You can turn them on and off as you see fit. And then let's go look at the plan room for this project. Just want you to see the differences here in what may be available to your owner. So let's go ahead and hit Online Plan Room. Right here, you can see we've got a cover page for every plan room, shows the location of the project, the current weather. I can have a highlights reel of photos from my daily reports. And then I have my PM contact info. And each of these tabs is for a certain item that I've turned on. I can see all my plans and specs. We can view or download these. We can filter through. Same for submittals. We can have items and their status in here. So this is one of the big benefits of directing your owner to the plan room versus Fieldlens, is I can display submittals automatically here. If I decide I really want them in Fieldlens primarily, then I would need to essentially download the approved files and pop those into Fieldlens as a manual post. Can be done, just depends on what you need. RFIs here. Again, we can see the status of all those RFIs. We can click to open and view them, view and download associated files and summaries here. And all of these are coming from, in fact, you may see some of these 21, 22, and 23 are all from Fieldlens, right? Resolved in Fieldlens. I didn't put an answer in there, but you can see how that information from Fieldlens comes across automatically. The questions and the answers and associated files will all show here. And then Gantt schedule, we can open and download a copy of the schedule from here. That's also going to be visible in the mobile app, the Flex mobile app for your employees. So this is the plan room. Again, mostly view only. I'm coming here to view and possibly download items. Whereas when it comes to your Fieldlens side of things, you can come over here and get into the same project, that Haunted Mansion. And we have the ability as an owner to come in and interact with these if necessary, or an architect or a sub, right? Imagine the possibilities here. If I'm logging in, this is exactly what your external parties are going to see. They're going to have these filters on the left. They can see open items. Most conveniently, they can see, hey, what's assigned to me and my company? They can click open any of these items, and they have the ability to leave comments, attach files, mark themselves complete if they're assigned to this, right? We can interact with this really, really well. We can come to the drawings page and see drawings with posts. This is that pin to drawing capability that Flex does not have. You can come in and see what's going on. Now I can tell by the fact that this is orange, it's open, meaning there are people assigned that have not completed their tasks. I can tell you by the fact that it's an exclamation point that it's a safety issue. And I can tell you with the little red dot that it is overdue. So that's exposed wires. And I can open it up, see where in the drawing it is, get all sorts of information there, and I can reach out and discuss. So this is really much more interactive for those external parties. And again, it depends on your needs, because you're inherently going to be handling your RFIs, your punch, your safety, your drawings here. But again, let's say you needed to handle or to show submittals or spec documents or something here. I can always create a new post. There is a submittals type post. It does not link with Flex, but I could create a submittals type post, and then I could attach those approved files and put in some details so that they're visible here if I want to make that a standard process. We could also choose no flag post, title it spec documents version, bid set, and then attach those files right here, right? So there is some freeform capability to share anything else that you need to manually, even if it doesn't link across. So I think that's all of the key pieces we wanted to cover in terms of your options there. We go back to our slides here. We're really just finishing up with some Q&A, but to recap for you, right, the new biggest updates that you're seeing is that unified login, your ability to have one email, one password to log in, as well as the ability to automatically send your projects and your drawings across. But if anybody has any questions, if there's anything in the Q&A, we can answer that now. Otherwise, we can hang around for, a moment in case anyone wants to drop anything in the Q&A.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing anything open there, but Yulisa, if you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. We'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, guys. We'll keep it open here for a couple minutes. And then if there's no questions, we'll close things out.